Why did humans evolve in Africa? Why this continent and not Europe, Asia, or the Americas? Imagine the Earth as a giant laboratory, with each continent running its own unique experiments. Some places are hot and humid, others cold and dry. Some are harsh and extreme, while others are calm and easy to live in. Every factor in each environment is like an ingredient in the soup of life. And it was the experiment in Africa that gave rise to the human lineage. This is the question that has puzzled anthropologists for years, but there is an even deeper question. Why? In this video, I will take you through evidence from fossils, stone tools, and genetics, all pointing to Africa. But we will go even deeper into the evolution of primates and the global changes that set the stage for the emergence of humanity. Let us begin the journey into the distant past. Here is a shocking truth. Our distant ancestors were not monkeys. They were instead tiny creatures looking like tree-climbing mice. Around 66 million years ago, when the dinosaurs had just vanished, Purgatorius appeared and took over the lush treetops. With bright eyes, flexible joints, and an unusual brain, it set off a new chain of evolution that eventually led to humans. Paradox occurred. When the giants went extinct, the small creatures rose. No longer ruled by dinosaurs, the primeval forest became the stage for the first primates. Imagine a world where creatures were neither strong nor armed with sharp claws, yet clever beyond mere survival. It was this reversal of order, the weak overcoming the strong, that laid the groundwork for all of humanity. 40 million years ago in a forest in China, a tiny creature stirred. It was named Eosimias, meaning dawn monkey. Its body was no bigger than a small mouse, but its movements resembled modern monkeys, agile and intricate. No one could have guessed that from those tiny leaps, a new branch of evolution would emerge. The branch leading to monkeys, apes, and ultimately humans. If a vast ocean lay before you, how would you cross it? Millions of years ago, the primates of Asia faced the exact same challenge. Between them and Africa, the Promised Land, lay the Tethys Sea, a vast ocean splitting two worlds. Yet the Earth kept moving. Around 20 million years ago, the Gomphotherium land bridge connected the two continents, paving the way for a migration that would change human evolutionary history. Africa is like a giant test kitchen of nature. Every mountain, forest, and river became an ingredient in the mysterious recipe of evolution. While Asia's harsh climate drove many primates to extinction, Africa's environmental diversity opened up countless opportunities. More than just a refuge, Africa became a special laboratory where the final formula for creating humans was written. Sometimes a single seemingly small detail can change the entire future. For our ancestors, that detail was the disappearance of the tail. Around 23 million years ago, the first apes in East Africa, like Proconsul, were strikingly different. Tailless, with larger brains and more complex social structures. This loss became an advantage, paving the way for upright posture and turning Proconsul into humanity's first draft. If the dense forests were once the luxury apartments of our ancestors, the savannas were like a harsh survival test. As Africa's climate changed, thick forests turned into vast savannas. Food was no longer hanging conveniently on branches, but scattered far and wide. Many tree-dwelling primates disappeared, but those who dared to leave the safety of their apartments and step into the open space ushered in the human era. Imagine volcanic ash covering the ground at Laetoli, Tanzania, 3.6 million years ago. Then a heavy rain poured down, softening the ash layer. In that moment, a family of Australopithecus walked across. They left straight, steady footprints, almost identical to modern humans. When the ash hardened, time froze that scene. Over 3 million years later, we found them. Not just footprints, but an evolutionary milestone. What made a species of ape capable of making stone tools? Around 3 million years ago, Homo habilis appeared in East Africa. They broke stones into sharp pieces to cut meat and smash bones for marrow, a rich source of nutrition to grow the brain. But why were they the first to create tools? The answer remains a mystery, but the moment human hands turned inert stones into weapons, forever changed the course of evolution. 1.8 million years, that is how long Homo erectus roamed the planet. From Africa, they traveled to Georgia, the Middle East, and all the way to Indonesia. No primate before had dared to travel so far. Homo erectus did not just move, they carried fire, tools, and intelligence with them. Thanks to them, the human world expanded beyond Africa, turning the Earth into a global stage. Their footprints were the first steps of a world conqueror. If Homo erectus had not left Africa, would billions of humans exist today? It was these early migrations that paved the way for humanity to spread. They faced the ice of Europe, the jungles of Asia, and distant islands as far as Indonesia. Each challenge honed their adaptability. But if they had stayed in East Africa, evolution might have stalled, and humanity as we know it today might never have appeared. Think of the brain as an energy-eating machine. It consumes enormous amounts, and to feed it, our ancestors needed a new source of nutrition. That is when fire stepped onto the stage. Homo erectus learned to cook meat, turning hard-to-digest meals into easily absorbed fuel. That fire not only drove away predators, but also illuminated the future of humanity. A simple invention, yet one that changed evolution entirely. Neanderthals were strong, had large brains, and adapted well to Europe's ice. So why did they vanish while we survived? Evidence shows Neanderthals had tools, art, and even the ability to speak. But Homo sapiens had something different. It was a vast social network, a web of connections. While Neanderthals lived in small groups, we shared and spread ideas. The true strength of humans did not lie in muscles, but in unity. In Morocco, scientists discovered 300,000-year-old Homo sapiens fossils, proving modern humans originated in Africa. But the evidence does not stop there. Genetic analysis shows that Africa has greater gene diversity than anywhere else. This means all of us trace our roots here. It is an undeniable biological signature. Your story, my story, every human story, all began in one place: Africa. Imagine a world without the internet. Hard to connect, hard to share ideas. Around 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens in Africa exchanged obsidian stones, ostrich eggshells, across hundreds of kilometers. It was like a primitive social network. Small items, yet carrying enormous value. It was this wide-reaching sharing and cooperation that allowed Homo sapiens to surpass Neanderthals and Denisovans, becoming the only surviving species. Could it be that human ancestors did not come from Africa? A controversial fossil in Germany, Danuvius, 11 million years old, shows a human-like gait. Some scientists suggest we may have originated in Europe, but the evidence is too sparse compared to the wealth of data from Africa. Hundreds of fossils, footprints, stone tools, and genetic markers. This mystery is like a door slightly ajar. Yet to this day, Africa remains the most solid answer. What if humans had originated in Australia? A dry continent covered by deserts where only the super resilient would survive. Perhaps we would have evolved into a small, highly skilled hunting species with a culture centered on harsh survival. Or if we had started in South America. The Amazon rainforest might have made us tree people, living above the ground, connected to the canopy. This perspective shows that a simple change in starting point could have completely altered human history. Today we fly across continents in just a few hours, but our ancestors took hundreds of thousands of years to migrate across the Earth. From Africa, Homo sapiens spread to the Middle East, then Asia, Europe, and finally crossed the seas to Australia and the Americas. Each migration step was like a slow but unstoppable evolutionary flight. It was this spreading that made us a global species, conquerors of the planet, unmatched by any other. Did you know that our blood still carries a part of Neanderthal genes? When Homo sapiens left Africa, they met and interbred with other human species. As a result, modern humans in Europe and Asia have 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. Meanwhile, traces of Denisovans remain in Southeast Asia. This means we are not entirely pure. Humanity is actually an evolutionary compound, a strange but effective mix that helped us survive and thrive. So, where do you stand? Africa, with a mountain of undeniable evidence, or another hypothesis that humanity may have originated elsewhere? The current scientific answer clearly leans toward Africa, but the fascinating part is, a single new discovery could change everything. Evolutionary history is like an unfinished novel, and we, humans of the present, are the latest chapter. What do you think? If humanity had started elsewhere, would the world today be the same as we know it? And that is the miraculous journey, from a small mouse-like creature through millions of years of harsh trials to finally become us. The story of evolution does not only tell the past, it also reflects the present. That we are just a small part of nature's immense flow. If you find this journey fascinating, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss more mysteries of science and history. What do you think was the biggest turning point in human evolution? Share it in the comments. I am eager to hear your perspective. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next video.